everyone, and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. We are back for the 12 days, 12 steps of Christmas. I don't redo stuff, so that's going to have to be in there. All right, this is also a live, so it may sound kind of weird. So I'm going to be doing some sharing, things like that. But grab your 12 by 12, listen to the theme song, and I'll be back in 47 seconds.
The woods can be dense for our acts. The sea can be deep for our diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
All right, and welcome back. We already got Leisure Man here. Good morning, Leisure. I know it looks a little weird. That is because this is also going to be a podcast. I'm going to podcast this too. So I had to put on my radio voice, do my regular sharing and stuff. So yeah, I apologize for my live watchers who are like, Dion, what in the heck are you doing? What is wrong with you? It's called Dion's Not in Any Pain. Now, I'm feeling exceptionally grateful today. You know, there's a lot of great stuff going on in my life. I'm just trying to talk loud enough and long enough here so that you don't hear my clicking, which you probably do because I got a really good microphone. We got some neat stuff coming up. I have a regular podcast coming out today also, and that's going to be a little different in the sense that I know this person very well. I know their background. I did their 4-step, so you probably figured out what they are to me. You've probably figured out what they are to me. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I let everybody know. Yep, we're good to go. Now, usually I wait till about 3-minute mark to get started. It may happen a little sooner today, but let's kind of cover why I'm doing this. I have no idea. It was just a thought that came to mind, honestly. I saw that there were 12 more days to Christmas, and I figured, wow, what a great opportunity to be a little bit more artistic. You know, I don't know that I'm necessarily a digital creator, but me talking and podcasting and live, this is my art. And it's something that I'm good at, and I enjoy it very much. My art is helping other people, setting things up to help other people. And, you know, I find that when I help other people make money, somehow I end up with money. So, you know, it's just how life works. All right, let's do some introductions, which usually doesn't happen in the podcast. The podcast, unfortunately, folks, you do not see what's going on. So I will explain as much as I can while we were doing this. But welcome to the Daily Trudge and Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. I think that just confuses everybody. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching live or the rewatch. Now, sometimes we will have comments, and I will do my best. I will do my best for rewatchers and podcasters here. All right, just like we did with the 12 by 12 series, let's grab our 12 by 12. And we're going to go to page 21. I'm going to take a little bit of talking juice here. I mean, you don't have the camera. You got to explain everything because there can't be any dead sound. Watch. See how uncomfortable that was? That was 2 seconds. I think it was probably less than that. I don't know if the counting in my head matches the actual counting in life. Let's get started. All right, step 1. admitted we were powerless over alcohol, and that's what that dash is there for. That's an and that our lives have become unmanageable. All right. Who cares to admit complete defeat? Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries against the idea of personal powerlessness. It is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we have warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. Yeah. What is that natural instinct? Well, it's survival, to live, and to procreate. Yeah. See, alcoholism frustrates natural desires. It does, because we don't know what we're doing. So, and then it goes on to say that, admit, glass in hand, even while I'm drinking, I'm like, I know this is no good for me, but somehow I'm able to take that, push it aside so that I can enjoy the merriment. And that's going to be in quotations of what I think might happen that night. Now, I'm going to, before I get started on this, I kind of want to tell a little bit of my story. Okay. Now, I had been drinking. It was not my first drink, but it was my first. Wow, I never thought of that. Even in the beginning of my drinking career, I drank alone. I just now thought of that. See, my mom, she's got 40 years of sobriety now, recovery under her belt. Okay. But, I would put the kids to sleep. My mom was passed out. What I would do is I'd go under her bed and I'd take 2 beers. Okay. And that didn't get me drunk. I just thought that's what adults did, because that's what I watched my parents do after they put the kids to bed and stuff, and growing up, right? Because alcoholism is a progressive disease. But what would happen is I was invited to a party, and I did not have any friends. I'm just going to keep it at that. It was the first party I was invited to, aside from, sleepovers, things like that I never went to. But what happened is I started drinking with these people, and suddenly Dion became cool. Well, I had been trying to fit in for 13 fucking years. So this was a magical moment for me. I can still feel it, how I was accepted, finally. But it wasn't a true acceptance, okay? And I would chase that moment for the rest of my drinking career. Never, ever, ever, ever to find it or feel it again. So you can't experience something new twice. But I didn't realize that. And I would chase that. So let's get back to the book. No other kind of bankruptcy is like this one. Alcohol now becomes the rapiest creditor, bleeds us of all self-sufficiency and all will to resist its demands. Once this stark fact is accepted, our bankruptcy as going human concerns is complete. Okay. In AA, we call that the gift of desperation, where we understand, and this bankruptcy, it is not like, there is no other kind. I was at the hospital yesterday for my shoulder, and I just tell you, my blood pressure was way too high. I feel a lot better today because I did that. But anyway, right? And I was even talking to the nurses and the doctors there. And I was talking to them about my alcoholism and stuff, because I bring it up because they need to know, hey, I'm 8 years sober, but I destroyed my body doing certain stuff, right? So, and I was talking to them, I'm like, alcoholism is a different disease. They're like, yes, it is. It's a very different disease than the rest of the addictions. See, even doctors and nurses and people understand that the withdrawal from alcohol is one of the only ones that can kill you. It can kill you, right? So, all right, so when we get here, well, what are we? Well, it's that unmanageable part. Okay. It seems like admitting that we are powerless over alcohol. How do we do that? My name is Dion and I am an alcoholic. That's how we do that. Okay. I can say that now pretty easily But in the beginning, it was like, my name's Dion, and man, I'm an alcoholic. It was more of a question coming out. So back to the book. But upon entering AA, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation. Right? Humiliation is not humility. It is a different word, and it means something different. Humiliation is you're 13 years old, you're walking up to the mall, South Glen Mall, to go hang out with your stoner friends, supposedly, and the cool kids are standing out front, so you spit, but it lands on the front of you. That's humiliation. Waking up in somebody else's bathtub, waking up in your own urine in bed and your vomit. These are the absolute humiliations that we go through on a regular basis. Right? Now, do not think for 1 second that the people around you do not know that you are drinking. That you are drinking. Leisure says, my second meeting, the word unmanageable was as big as the 12-step banner. Yeah, it's the unmanageable. I began to realize that I was an alcoholic. Good one, Scott. Thank you for that. Absolutely. We perceive that only through utter defeat are we able to take our first steps towards liberation and strength. Our admissions of personal powerlessness finally turn out to be the firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. Okay? I'm going to tell you something. That is truth all the way through. Okay? Not only my experience, but the experience of millions of alcoholics prove this over and over and over again. Okay? Now, I'm going to say it now. Okay? I'm going to give a little warning here. I may say things in this step that you might not like. And here's why. Because there is no difference between the alcoholic living on the streets with a paper brown bag and a person with 5 cars in the garage. There is no difference between these two people. They're both broke. They're just broke on a different level. Okay? There is only alcoholic. There is no functioning alcoholic. I was a functioning alcoholic. No, you weren't. Your life was unmanageable. A functioning alcoholic is an oxymoron. There is no such thing as a functioning alcoholic. It does not work. Well, I had a bunch of cars in the garage. So what? That is not functioning. Okay, go read the bedevilments on page 52. Couldn't hold a relationship. Couldn't keep a job. Pissing off the people around me. Well, gee, that's true of either one of you. And that, my friends, is the truth. Okay? So quit making do not make yourself terminally unique by saying things like, well, I'm different. I've never had a relapse. Well, neither have I since I stayed sober. Okay? No. And to think that we didn't relapse before we came into the how come we can only relapse after we get into the program? If you ever promised somebody, including yourself, that you would quit drinking and you did not, you have relapsed. Yeah. Leisure over here says, I'm a dysfunctional alcoholic. There we go. I will go with that. Because I can see it in me too. Now, am I still dysfunctional? Not as much. I think is as close as I can get. But I have tools in my life that allow me to work around that dysfunction. All right. We perceived, we already did that part. We know that little good can come to any alcoholic who joins AA unless he has first accepted his devastating weakness and all of its consequences. Until he humbles himself, his sobriety, if any, will be precarious. Of real happiness, he will find none at all. Proved beyond doubt by an immense experience. What is the immense experience? Well, I don't know, the thousands and millions of alcoholics that came before you. Okay, we got to learn from the past, or we are doomed to repeat it. It's happening right now. This is one of the facts of AA life. The principle that we shall find no enduring strength until we first admit complete defeat is the main taproot from which our whole society has sprung and flowered. I almost minced up my words here a little bit. I'm going to get to that. Leisure. So here it says, until we admit it. Now, this is what we call the first paradox of the program, that I will find no true independence until I am fully dependent upon a power greater than myself. And in the beginning, this can be really hard. Okay. There's trust issues. There's all these things. You don't want to believe these alcoholics, even though you know they're not fucking lying to you. But you just can't believe them. Or you think, well, that's not for me. Okay. This was hard for me to understand that anything involved with Dion in the beginning is just kind of a bad thing. Okay. All my best thoughts got me to AA. Okay. And I had all the knowledge. And it didn't do me a lick of good. All right. Leisure says it's like saying normal drinker. What the fuck does that mean? Exactly. What is normal drinking anymore? I don't know. The closest that I can come would be my wife. And I can tell you now, she has just as much sobriety as I do. She has just as much. I don't think she's had any alcohol since I got sober. That's a normal drinker. None. Little to none. Right? All right. When first challenged to admit defeat, most of us revolted. We had approached AA expecting to be taught self-confidence. I have self-confidence now, but it took a lot of work. I mean, 8 years of arduous work. I'm not every day. What I do now is like nothing compared. We're talking therapy and working through things. And a lot of us are diagnosed with more than just alcoholism, right? So there might be extra work to do, but now but by the time you're done, you'll have the tools to work on those things, right? So we cannot teach you self-confidence. Nobody can teach you self-confidence. What they can do is give you the tools to reach self-confidence, but it must be done yourself. That's a you thing. How do you build self-confidence? Well, that goes along with self-esteem. So you do esteemable things. And I will tell you the number one way to do that: help other people. Help other people. That's it. I was coming back from the hospital yesterday. I was still in a lot of pain, but I saw this man trying to take his garbage can up and his house faces north. His driveway does. So it's still icy and shit. And there was some ice there. He had his dog. You could see that he'd fallen down before. And so I turned around and got out of my car, and he wanted to talk. I had to get to a meeting. Okay. But now I'm going to talk to my kids about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to shovel his fucking driveway when it snows. That's service work. He doesn't need to know it's us. He will, because I introduced myself and he wanted to talk. And he's like, stop by anytime. How fucking beautiful is that? I may cry during this. I feel a huge sense of relief. So you might even have to hear me blow my nose. All right. Okay. These are tears of joy. Tears of joy. Joy and pain. Okay, I can't sing too much or things get canceled. God forbid we have fun and sing, without having to pay for it. Then we have been told that so far as alcohol is concerned, self-confidence was no good, whatever. In fact, it was a total liability. And it isn't self-confidence. No, I'll tell you what it is. It's liquid courage. It's that liquid courage, right? Where, I mean, if you listen to Bill's story, and when the stock market crashed, everybody was, people were jumping from buildings. They were committing and that was literal. They were literally jumping off buildings, killing themselves because it went to negative 32. That meant they owed. That meant that they owed money. It wasn't 52 to 32. It was negative 32. A lot of people don't read that. Well, the 52 doesn't have a dash in front of it. It's negative. That means that they owe. But what did Bill do? Bill went to the bar and drank and said, and he found his liquid courage. Okay. It devastated him more in the long run. Our sponsors declared that we were victims of a mental obsession so subtly powerful that no amount of human will could break it. Amount of human willpower. Now, you could collect. You could have. Let's say you fill up Mile High Stadium, right? And all these people put their willpower towards you quitting drinking. Won't work. No amount of willpower. It has got to come from something else. All right. Earlier, I was talking a little bit about trust, and in the beginning. Now, what you could do is you can trust the program. So watch the actions of other people if you're newer. Watch the actions. Okay. Now, in order to do that, you're going to probably need to go to in-person meetings because in Zoom meetings, you're not going to really see those actions after the meeting in the parking lot. You're going to have to experience that at live meetings. Zoom meetings doesn't provide that portion. Not that it's required, but, there was, they said, no such thing as personal conquest of this compulsion by the unaided will. Relentlessly deepening our dilemma, our sponsors pointed out our increasing sensitivity to alcohol, an allergy, they called it. The tyrant alcohol wielded a double-edged sword over us. First, we were smitten by an insane urge that condemned us to go on drinking, and then by the allergy of a body that ensured we would ultimately destroy ourselves in the process. Few indeed were those who, so assailed, had ever won through single-handed combat. It was a statistical fact that alcoholics almost never recovered on their own resources, and this had been true apparently ever since man had first crushed grapes. Let me explain something real quick, and let's kind of divide this up so that it's a little bit more understandable. Now, there are people who maybe early on in their drinking careers quit drinking and they may stay sober the rest of their lives. Well, good job. But alcohol is not the problem. All right. You hear this a lot in AA, but I tend to extend it. I talk about it a lot because it's a great example. Now, if I have a drunk horse thief and I sober them up, what I now have is a sober horse thief. They're sober. Sober means you're not drinking. That's all it means. And you can do it for any reason that you want. You don't even have to do it for yourself. In fact, most alcoholics do not get sober for themselves. How many times have you seen a guy go or a gal say, I got a nudge from the judge. I came and I stayed. Now, what was that? Well, there was the threat of jail time and they didn't want to go to jail. Hallelujah, man. Hallelujah. Okay. But I'm going to tell you something. That dry drunk sucks. You're still going to be an asshole. You're still going to demand. You're still going to do everything else. I do not need alcohol in me to be a jerk. I'm not bragging. That's just fact. See, alcoholism is a progressive disease. It's alcohol. Alcohol is not a disease. It is an item. Alcoholism is a mental disease that, if not interrupted by a group of people with depth and weight, you will continue. What will happen? Well, you'll have resentments. You're going to die from a heart attack instead. You're going to die from a stroke. You're going to make everybody around you miserable because you have not, what you haven't done. Okay. Anybody here know about Amityville? Amityville horror, right? It is ego when it all comes down to it. Absolutely, leisure. All right. So what they're property developers, right? They build houses, right? That's the president. And this guy who is like the top salesman, he gets the first house. He gets the first house. He gets to live in the neighborhood of a really nice estate and things like that, right? Well, things begin to happen, and it's poltergeist. So by the end, Dabney Coleman, he's shaking. No, it wasn't Dabney Coleman, was it? No, it was not. Oh, I forget his name. I think Dabney Coleman was the boss. Anyway, he's shaking his boss. And he goes, because here's the thing, and this is alcoholism. He's shaking him. He said, you moved the tombstones, but you didn't move the bodies. You moved the tombstones, but you didn't move the body. That is a dry drunk. If you don't move the tombstone and the bodies, you will not get what you need in order to live a lifestyle that is better for you and the people around you. Because the fact that you have enough power to destroy the lives around you, you also have the power to heal. I know, but they must be willing first, or you don't have that power. All right. So, yes, I have never seen anybody win in single-handed combat. That meaning a higher power. Okay. It does not need to. I only say God so that I'm not misunderstood. I say God and higher power because mine may be different. So, all right, but we're on first step here. In AA's pioneering time, none but the most desperate cases could swallow and digest this unpalatable truth. Even these last gaspers often had difficulty in realizing how hopeless they actually were, but a few did. And when these laid hold of the AA principles with all the fervor with which the drowning sees life preservers, they almost invariably got well. That is why the first edition of the book, Alcoholics Anonymous, published when our membership was small, dealt with low bottom cases only. Many less desperate alcoholics tried AA, but did not succeed because they could not make the mission of hopelessness. Oh, that changed, didn't it? It did. I'm going to tell you something. Most of you would not have qualified. I would have, but you still had cars in the garage, and I would see how now that's going to work against you. See how that's going to now work against you. Okay. The thing is, our alcoholism started way. Let me rephrase that one because, I'm going to make an admission here. I don't know why my brain thought it saw something where science had proved that we were born with this, but I went back and looked. I couldn't find it, so I'm going to go with the fact that science has not proven that. But gosh, the evidence is all there. If my experience tells me anything, which is criterion, that means the top of, then I do kind of think. So my alcoholism, I feel started way before I started drinking. Because I cannot remember a time when I was truly honest growing up, right? I didn't know how. So, but good news here, it is a tremendous fact, or is tremendous satisfaction to record that in the following years has changed. Alcoholics who still had their health, their families, their jobs, and even 2 cars in the garage began to recognize their alcoholism. See, that's where they stole it from. It doesn't make you any different. We had to raise the bar to reach you. How you feel about that now? Oh, well, you had to raise the bar so you could reach me. I don't think you understand. Okay, let's put it a different way. We had to lower the bar so we could get to you. How about that? Now, how do you feel about it? See, we got to say it the right way. Anyway, as this trend grew, a trend. Okay, trend is fad, and it was a trend. Okay, it started as a trend. It's happening again right now, but they're leading you to the wrong place. If it leads you to their stuff, it's already wrong. I'm 8 years sober now, and I'm an expert. Oh, really? Okay. I'm 8 years sober, so I'm using my. Yeah. No, I'm not. I have a lot of experience and stuff, but I'm certainly not an expert. Uh, yeah. Let's put it this way. I don't want to be considered that because then that makes a lesser than or greater than sign in AA, and I refuse. I I refuse. Right. As this trend grew, they were joined by young people who were scarcely more than potential alcoholics. They were spared that last 10, 15 years, 10 or 15 years of literal hell the rest of it gone through since step one requires an admission that our lives have become unmanageable. How could people such as these take these steps? I was living on Skid Row at 17. I does that qualify? Yeah, I would say so. Alcohol, and the thing is, I was 17. I didn't lose a car. Never had one. Didn't lose a house. Didn't have one. Didn't lose any child. I didn't lose anything except me. And there wasn't anything to lose. No, that's not true. I had a fantastic girlfriend at the time, but I didn't lose her. In fact, I'm married to her today. We got a neat story. It's coming up. I talked to her about it yesterday. All right. So I'm gonna talk about something else just real quick, and it's this right here. They were spared the last 10 or 15 years of literal hell. Now, when you have a mind full of AA and a belly full of booze, your brain creates a challenge. It's the scary part. See, I didn't lose anything. Well, I relapsed after 12 years of sobriety. I gained that stuff. And guess what? I went through the 10 or 15. I literally went back out for 15 fucking years. See what my brain did to me? It took that as a challenge. So I'll fucking show you. Literal hell. No, they were right. And it is not required. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not required. I would not recommend it. It's kind of been scaring me. People have been telling me, hey, I haven't been to a meeting in a week. I'm like, man, because for me, the first meeting that I skipped was a little tough, but the second one was really fucking easy. And then it was just over with. The moment you think you don't need a fellowship, the moment you think you don't, and I'm not going to just a fellowship, the right people around you, you're already on a wrong path. Thanks, Scott. My friend over here is saying, you, my friend, are an alcoholic. I am. But only because I called myself one first. I got a cough here. I apologize, everyone. Thank you. I am working on it. I am. Oh, trust me. Okay. All right. It was obviously necessary to raise the bottom. The rest of us had hit to the point where it would hit them. What does that mean? It means we meet each other where we're at. That's what that means. And what a great concept. This concept is used by a lot of different things that heal. Okay. It includes encouragement. It means holding space for somebody. And for an alcoholic who is lonely, holding space for them is the best thing that you can do. The best thing that you can do. By going back in our drinking histories, we could show that years before we realized we were out of control, that our drinking was even then no mere habit, that it was indeed the beginning of a fatal progression. I remember I talked about the progression of alcoholism and that you do not need to drink in order for your alcoholism to progress. To the doubters, we could say, perhaps you're not an alcoholic after all. Why don't you try some more controlled drinking, bearing in mind, meanwhile, what we told you about alcoholism? All right, we don't do this. I don't do that. I just don't. For me, it feels icky inside. And when something feels icky inside, I just don't, because then I feel like I'm bossing them around. I feel like I'm bossing them around. So what I do, because they're going to go out and try it anyway. I already know. Okay? I know by the reactions, things like that. I need to blow my nose. And sorry, podcasters, I know that there's a little bit of airtime there, but it can't be helped. Hold on. And we're back. I guess I could have just put on the theme song or something. So we meet people where they're at, and maybe they're not ready, but what are we doing? We're going to plant that seed. So that way they know where to go when they are ready. That's what I do. So this attitude brought immediate and practical results. Yeah, it did, I'm sure. It was then discovered that when one alcoholic had planted in the mind of another the true nature of his malady, that person could never be the same again. All right. Before I move on, I want to add a little bit more as to why I don't tell people to go out and try that. Because nowadays, it's easy to find other stuff that will enhance your drinking. That's what I use drugs for. Okay. And I know this. Well, it's a lot scarier out there now. Okay. I don't want to bring other topics into this, but drugs are not what they fucking used to be. And that's one of the reasons why I don't do that. All right. And that's for me. Following a spree. Oh. It was then discovered when one alcoholic had planted in the mind of another the true nature of his malady, that person could never be the same again. That's me. Yeah. They're like, what do you do? I'm like, I ruin drinking careers. And we laugh at that. It's supposed to be kind of funny because it's hard. Because it's hard. If I can't laugh at it first, it's gonna be hard for me to do it. Right? But the actual process of ruining somebody's drinking career is tough. It's really tough because what I'm doing is in a way, I'm picking on them. So how do I relieve that? Because I can't do that. My own experience, strength, and hope. Hey, I've been there. I did this, this, and this. Oh, really? Yeah. See, I can have depth and weight. And yeah, I was gonna say something else, but it doesn't belong here. So, following every spree, he would say to himself, "Maybe those AAs were right. Not maybe those Dion's and stuff were right. No, AAs, man, because we are we. It's a we thing." All right. After a few such experience, often years before the onset of extreme difficulties, he would return to us convinced he had hit bottom as truly as any of us. John Barleycorn himself had become our best advocate. John Barleycorn is alcohol. Okay? There are a lot of people that don't know. Okay. Now, this is just a little off too. If you're in the program and you see little things like that and you don't know, it's okay to ask. Okay. Alcohol is made out of barley and corn, or a lot of it is. I don't know anymore. Okay, but that's one of our nicknames for alcohol. So that means the alcohol itself had become our best advocate. Wow, weird. Not really. Not for AA. You're gonna find a lot of paradoxes in AA. And it isn't that it's really a paradox, it's that we've had the cart before the horse the whole time. So to us, it's a paradox. John Barleycorn is definitely an alcoholic. Yeah. No, he is the alcoholic. He's patient zero. Right? All right. Why all this insistence that every AA must hit bottom first? All right. Before we move on, does it say anything about rock bottom? No, it doesn't. Because it doesn't exist. No, you didn't hit rock bottom. You're still alive. Rock bottom's dead. There is no one. It doesn't exist. It's one trap door after another till you're dead. Okay. Do not make it more than it. Oh, I had to hit rock bottom. Well, what is rock bottom for you? Because it's a qualification. Aha. There is no rock bottom. Quit qualifying alcoholism. Okay. What there is, and this is deep breaths, Dion, deep breaths. Okay. What we have is psychic change. That's what it is. The psychic change is a step before the steps. We call it step 0. People are calling it the spiritual experience. No. I'll tell you when my psychic change happened. I got out of detox 22nd time in 2 years. I came home. I looked at my wife in her eyes. I could see the fucking pain down to her soul, and I knew it was me, and it was done. I was done. No more. And I said, that was it. I didn't drink again. Nope. Okay. That was bottom. I changed my mind. I no longer wanted to live a life of fucking bullshit. I was tired of the hangovers. I was tired of shaking and sweating 24 hours a day. My soul was being rendered. It wasn't taken from me. No, it was being rendered. That means it's like 1,000 cuts to the soul. Does that require a rock bottom? No. It's a bottom of your sorts. That is up to you. So let's not qualify things around here. There is no qualification. You earned your seat, trust me. And I don't care if you drink it 6 months. You earned your seat. Because alcoholism starts way before the drinking. The answer is that few people will sincerely try to practice the AA program unless they have hit bottom. For practicing AA's remaining 11 steps means the adoptions of attitudes and actions that almost no alcoholic who is still drinking can dream of taking. Who wishes to be rigorously honest and tolerant? Who wants to confess his faults to another and make restitution for harm done? Who cares anything about a higher power, let alone meditation and prayer? Who wants to sacrifice time and energy and try to carry AA's message to the next sufferer? No. The average alcoholic, self-centered in the extreme, doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do these things in order to stay alive himself. I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with it. I hear what he's saying. Yeah, thank you, Leisure. Yeah, that's another one is called the jumping off point. It means, yeah, what you're gonna do is you're gonna jump off that cliff and your higher power is gonna catch you. I did it. I was caught. I watch people jump off that cliff all the time. Now, when I first got here, death did not scare me. Okay. Now, death still doesn't scare me, but I do really much respect it. Okay. So, when I got here, I wanted me dead. I mean, if there was anybody in this world I wanted dead, it was me. I hated me so much. And our hate runs deep. And when it runs for ourselves, then what happens is everything around is just fucking evil. And it was me. It was me. So what can I do? Because I didn't love me. I'm trying to do something here, Jack. Right? So so I got sober for my wife and kids. So I went back to AA, and really the only thing that I could do was this. I would have to sit in the middle of the herd, and I would have to let everybody in AA love me until I could learn how to love myself. My wife would tell me, Dion, I know the sober Dion. I know the recovered Dion. So I'm going to stick around and love you until you can get that part again. And why'd she do that? Because she knew I was supposed to help a lot of people. It wasn't about her. Even to this day, it's hard to come to the fact that there are people in our lives that love us so much that they will do anything to help us get off that hooch and live a better life. Yeah, makes you a little weepy. But before I would deny, oh, that's not what you want. You want something. And no, it's true. That's all she wanted from me. All right. So it isn't always true that a man or a woman comes into the program um, because their own life is in danger. Oh, you're killing yourself. Yeah, I know. I know. Go the fuck away. Right? Sound familiar? All right, we got one more paragraph. Under the lash of alcoholism, we are driven to AA. And there we discover the fatal nature of our situation. Yeah. We're not going to know it before then. Until you talk to another alcoholic who's working the program, they don't even need to be a recovered alcoholic yet or done the steps, is really what that means. You know, they could have 2 weeks, but you're on day one, and they can sit there and tell you, I've been here 2 weeks. I didn't want to come in here, but yet my life is getting better. My life is getting better. Then and only then do we become as open-minded to the conviction and as willing to listen as the dying can be. We stand ready to do anything which will lift this merciless obsession from us. And I can tell you this, if you do the work, if you do the rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path, that obsession will be removed. But it's going to take a little time. It's going to take some humility on your part. You're going to want to really want it. See, this program isn't for people that need it. This program is for people that want it. That's the hard part. It really is. All right. This is step one for the 12 steps of Christmas. Oh, what a cheesy. This is kind of cheesy, but it'll work. So, thank you to my podcast listeners, to my live listeners. Leisure, thanks for chipping in today. I certainly appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Tomorrow we will cover step 2. In the meantime, be nice to yourself. Be kind to you first. Be kind to you first. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.